Good evening, everybody. My name is Brandon Sanders, and I'm the host of the In the Sand podcast. I'm so excited to be able just to start this. This is a great opportunity for me to share good content, to have an opportunity to speak with coaches, give them an opportunity to speak their voice. And I'm so appreciative that my brother, Coach Justin Sanders, is going to be the first one to bless the stage. So I'm excited about it. We're going to get into his stories. Justin, what people don't know about Justin, Justin is very smart. He's very intelligent. And that's kind of where the name of the podcast comes from. It's titled In the Sand. And of course, if you ever been to the beach before, you ever seen a sandbox, you don't know what you're going to find in that. So when you listen to this podcast, you watch it on YouTube, you're going to be very surprised at some of the things that you learn about these individuals. Coaching is a very, very challenging profession, just like other professions. I just happen to be a coach, so I know in personal experiences. But what this does, it gives us an opportunity to be able to share our stories, share our content, and allow other people to get to know us, because the only time people get to see us is when they pay their admission and they come into the game. And a lot of times you never get to know the woman or the man behind the whistle. So I'm super, super excited about it. Justin and I, we were on here having a good time, simply laughing before we got this started. So it's going to be what we do every day. Justin and I, we talk basketball all the time. But what we'd love for you to do is make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, to my Instagram, which is Coach B Sanders. And also make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page as well. And when you go to my Instagram page, what I'm doing, I'm challenging each guest that I have on there to raise a certain amount of money. As you're going to get to know Justin, Justin's a very caring person. And the organization that we're supporting through this episode is St. Jude. And we all know what St. Jude, what it means to so many people. St. Jude takes care of all responsibilities that, excuse me, the kids who are ill that they have. So the parents are not responsible for anything. So it takes a lot of donations to be able to make that happen. So I'm challenging each host to at least raise $100. So Coach, he needs your support. Again, I'm going to support right now. I'm going on my page right now as we speak, because I want to support Justin. I also want to support St. Jude. So I'm going on there now. Donate. You have to donate at least $5. So I'm going to donate five in support of Justin and in support of St. Jude, and I'm doing that now as we speak. So I'm just very, very excited about it. This is going to be an opportunity for us to be able to just have positive vibes. We're not going to be on here trashing other individuals. We're just going to just talk and just have a real, real good time and just share stories. So enough for me. Again, I'm excited about it. I know Justin. We grew up a long time, but I want you all to get to know him. So Justin, thank you for coming out on the podcast with me, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Man, that's good, man. And again, it's just a lighthearted conversation. Again, this is what you and I do all the time. Now we just publicizing for the world to see. So, Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your journey in this basketball profession.
Okay. Thanks for having me on your show. Um, a little about me. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi,
Excuse me.
and of course, if you're from Jackson, Mississippi, you know basketball is very important. That's something every kid want to do,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you grew up in Jackson and went to Jackson Public Schools.
Mm-hmm.
So a little about me, how I got started. I got started when I was in college at Jackson State University. Got into coaching. Like I said, I'm a graduate of Murray High School and also a graduate of Jackson State. So it started in summer school. I was in summer school taking an education course under Dr. Gentry.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen Glenn McGinnis, who's coach at Brinkley. He went to high school with me. He was older than me. And he was working kids college at Jackson State at the time. And I had walked out of class and seen him, and then I just mentioned, I said, man, you ever need some help? Just let me know. He was like, sure, give my number. And I didn't really think he was serious, and that was like in the summertime. So a couple months later, he reached out to me and said, we have a tryout.
Mm.
And I thought he was playing. so I was, oh wow, I didn't know what to do with tryout. So I got there, got to Brinkley. A pretty good try. He had a pretty good team. The year before he didn't win any games, so
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was gonna be a tall task. And actually, it ended up being a blessing in disguise. Like, one thing I appreciate Glenn is giving me opportunity because, like,
Mm-hmm.
First year we went there pretty good. Won a lot of games. Lost in the playoffs to Northwest that year. They actually won the championship that year. They was undefeated. Coach Smith, he coached Northwest. He do a great job with those guys and
Mm-hmm.
young ladies over there in
Yeah,
Northwest.
he got both of them. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and I want to say he coached multiple sports in Northwest.
Yeah, I want to say football. I got to get coach on here. I want to say he's football, and they do well in football as well.
Yeah, so he do a great job in Northwest. So that was my first year. So I ended up being in Breaking 2 years. My second year is when I'm mad at Glenn, but I love him for this. He threw me in the fire. So he said, "Hey, man, you need coaching that game." I was like, "Oh, man." So, man, my first game was actually against a middle school I went to. It was Chastain.
Chastain, baby.
Yeah, Chastain Warriors, man. So clearly he knew he could beat them. So, man, I remember coaching that game. Man, my voice was cracking. Man, I was sweating. And mine now, it's the winter time. Man, I had a jacket on because I had to put my jacket on because my shirt was soaked.
Man, coach,
for real,
it's funny, man. See, people don't know. I'm sorry to cut you off, but people don't realize how intense it is to coach. And you know, it makes sense why a lot of guys, you know, leave their jackets on. It makes sense now because since COVID, guys don't really dress up because on that sideline, it gets very, very intense and it gets hot, man. So it is, it's funny that you say that. And that's some of the things that we keep sharing that most people don't realize. They don't realize it at all.
And I might like say it's wintertime. But I'm sweating just to the nerves. And then also, man, I probably got to stop doing it. I put pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I got to make Glenn look good. I got to show people like I can really do this. Mm-hmm. So then I don't have to coach the first half of the game. He said, I coach the second half. Mm-hmm. So then he gave me another task. Once again, I'm like, man, Glenn, you stop because I'm about to quit. So we played Kersey Middle School. Yeah. Once again, nerves again. I made it sit down that whole game. Man. Like, it was just nerve-wracking. Like, anything you have to do in your career, you got to get your feel for it.
You do. You really do.
So, like, but I appreciate him then, though. But, like, that showed that he cares and he's seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. Mm-hmm. Like, this man said, go coach a game. But one thing I love about Brinkley, though, man, we didn't win a championship. But, man, we improved the program. It's in the playoffs. Had multiple players play at the next level. We even produced a Danny Dozen that played at Lanier High School named Earl Smith. Yeah. So, man, I enjoyed my time at Brinkley. I was only there 2 years. I wish I could have been there longer. And something I like about Brinkley, that's probably one of the best schools I've been at. And it's probably get a misunderstanding because, you know, those kids are from Jackson, the inner city. But, man, those kids are always respecting me. They work hard. They stay in the gym. And it's just a misunderstanding of where they come from. Yeah. So, like, that's what I love about them. Like, they'll leave practice and be like, well, I'm about to go to Cade Chapel, the church, and go hoop, or go to Mega Edwards Community Center and go hoop. Mm-hmm. And I like, man, they keep you out of trouble. Hey, I love it.
Yeah, that's true.
Next, go ahead, go.
No, I was about to say those community centers make a difference because they give kids an opportunity to be able to just to play. And before you get to that, man, yeah, shout out to Glenn, man. Glenn, of course, he's a classmate of mine. Glenn is one of the best guys that I know. And hopefully we'll get him on the show. And I'm going to say it now. I've been talking to Glenn, and you and I was talking about it actually last night, Justin. And we're looking for Glenn to get a head coaching job, man. He works hard, but I know he dedicated to Jackson. So, man, Glenn is going to be a guy that's going to be the next upcoming young coach. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully he's watching it and just supporting. But just kudos to Glenn McGinnis.
Yeah, man. I seen him last night. We played, but he helped out in Murrah. Yeah. Did a great job with those guys as well. Unfortunately, they beat us. But yeah, great guy. So next, man, then this is the most interesting journey. So as you know, but Peter may not know, and it's funny how the world works. Brandon Sanders, who was the host of these shows at Germantown High School, the school I'm at now. Mm-hmm. He left there and went to Pisgah High School. Mind you, I never heard of Pisgah High School. Me. Growing up in Rankin County, all I knew was like Northwest Rankin, Brandon, and Pearl. Mm-hmm. So he said, man, I got a chance to be a head coach. I was like, man, congrats. But he didn't tell me what I came with the job. Yeah, you know I need the help, right? I'm like, sure. So I mean, we went there. I remember he went to the interview, and I remember Miss Gates was at the interview, and I was like, man, I thought the school was super far away because I fell asleep. I said, oh, this probably a 2-3 hour drive. No, you know, it ain't about 20 to 30 minutes away from Germantown.
Not man, not far at all. I think we took the long way too, coach. I think we went all the way. I think we went all the way around, came down on 43, and all we had to do is come right across. What's the name of that street by the golf course?
I think Deerfield.
Yeah, Deerfield. Yeah, we could have cut across Deerfield, coach, but man, we went all the way around for no reason. But again, we just didn't know.
Just didn't know. So then maybe showing our age, I guess we didn't. I don't know. We use our phone. I'm not sure.
I don't know what we were doing.
So he said, I got a head coach that I'm proud of. I know this is what he worked for. He had previous head coach experience at Murrah High School. So I said, cool. But he said, you know, I'm coaching boys and girls. I said, that's tough. But he also didn't tell me we got to coach in middle school. I said, oh boy.
Yeah, it was a lot, brother. It was a lot.
So I'm like, man, it's some days we had games every day except Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, yeah, maybe a good opportunity to get you some head coaching experience. So, man, I took the middle school, and he was the head high school coach, and we assist each other. And mind you, I didn't think I was going to be at Pisgah 6 years, but it's just funny how time just operate like this. So we did it, and this was my first time working with girls. One thing about girls basketball, and every coach tell me, man, they love you, but hey, you know how girls are.
Yeah, man, it's a roller coaster, man. It roller coaster of emotions, man. They'll run through a wall for you, but every day as a girls coach, and our girls coach out here listening can attest to, you got to be able to manage those emotions. And a lot of times it's just a part of life. Sometimes, I think you and I struggled at first, coach, is that we was like, man, it's just too much. One day is this, one day is this, one day is this. But when you really get past all of that, you can really play basketball. But you got to really understand women and understand just the game of basketball and how emotions are tied or intertwined with each other.
Yeah, so went there for 6 years. First year we kind of struggled a little bit. It's naturally when you take over a program. The first year is all gonna be kind of tough, and then just learning how to coach girls basketball, and also the men's the boys basketball as well.
At the same time.
So the boys went to the playoffs. The girls, we missed out on the playoffs that first year, but we made it every other year.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things I loved about Pisgah was like, man, it's a great community. Like, I had just a misconception, but man, great community. People to this day, I still have a relationship with, talk to weekly. So then that was just a great experience. Then it showed me what 2A basketball was about. Like, I never knew what 2A was. Like, my first 2A game, I believe I seen was maybe in the Coliseum when Victoria Bivens was playing Scott Central.
Yep.
But other than that, I never seen a 2A basketball, so I really didn't understand it. And 2A basketball is nothing but 6A basketball. Basketball is basketball. It's just number 2.
That's true. That's true, coach.
And I'm proud of the success we had. The boys in the playoffs every year. Won a district championship with the boys. The girls hosted the playoff game. So, man, we did a lot of things. I had a great middle school season where one year I believe I lost one game with the boys. And that ended up being the group that won us the district championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, coach, I don't believe people really understand the challenges that small coaches deal with. Because when you coach at a small school, and you said it, you got to coach the junior high program and you got to coach the high school program. You got to create the junior high schedule and the high school schedule. You got to create the junior high summer, high school summer. And all of those things work together hand in hand. And a lot of other times, and the part that you left out, coach, and I'm going to brag on you a little bit, usually when you're at a small school, you coaching other things. At our tenure at Pisgah, we coach cross country girls and boys. We coach bowling. And we also were on the verge of starting esports as well as Pisgah before we, transition into our new position where we are now, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But those things go hand in hand. And then you said it earlier too, coach. You're going to play a junior high game on Monday. You're going to play a high school game on Tuesday. Typically, nobody really plays on Wednesday. You're going to turn around and play a junior high game on Thursday. And you're going to play a high school game on Friday. And then it just depends on the day of the week. You might have to play a high school game on Saturday. And so as a coach, you really got to manage that, because if you don't manage it right, you could play all 4 of those games on the road. And so the thing that I thought you did well, and the thing that I thought we worked good together was creating a schedule where it wasn't just super, super hard. And so one of my biggest takeaways that I appreciate from Pisgah is that I learned so many different things from scheduling, from concessions to fundraising. We were hands on. Like the 2 guys you see on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, that's who ran the Pisgah basketball program. And I'd be amiss. It was so many people who helped us out. It was so many volunteers, and I want to name people, but when you name people, coach, you end up leaving somebody off. But those people who are watching and those people who know, they know the things that they did for us to help us operate. We had people donate out of their pockets to help us get uniforms. We had people running concession stands, donating money. We had people giving, making sure that you and I were fine. So, Pisgah was a great, great opportunity for us. It was a difficult challenge to leave. And even sometimes, I still contemplate, what we could have done if we'd have continued to stay there. So I think that's a perfect transition, Coach, to what we kind of want to talk about. But before we do that, Coach, you were looking for a head coaching job. You were looking for a position, and it kind of worked out. You got hired at one school, Coach. Of course, we're not gonna say that school's name, but you were hired at one school, Coach, and that school was nothing wrong with that school at all. Everything was perfect about it, but you wanted a little bit more. And Coach, to me, you represent people. People have these sayings. They talk about things, boom, boom, boom. But Coach, I really want to talk about your transition from Pisgah High School to Germantown High School. But talk to us about how you bet on yourself, Coach. And that's a term that people use, betting on myself, Coach. Like you literally bet on yourself because you had a job, and you almost end up losing that job, but you felt like not knocking that school, but I had an opportunity to seek something bigger, better, and greater. So, Coach, talk to us about betting on yourself, Coach.
Yes. So like you said, I was leaving Pisgah. Like I said, I wanted the jobs. I wanted to start getting into teaching more.
Mm-hmm.
And also, shout out small school coaches as well. Coach mentioned this. Small school coaches, a lot of times, they used to compliment my brother and I because a lot of small school coaches don't even have assistant coach.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, man, you doing it all by yourself.
That's true.
So, and people don't realize, so during my last year at Pisgah, and Coach can attest to this, I was going on interviews, sometimes days of the basketball games.
Yep, you were.
Trying to find teaching and coaching jobs.
Mm-hmm. In the middle of the district tournament, Coach. Middle of the district tournament, you were.
Yes, I went to multiple career fairs, maybe 3 or 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I said, during the season, like the day we played on Friday of the district tournament, I was at a career fair.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find a job. So it just showed you, like, I was trying to show I was humble, I was hungry, that I wanted the opportunity. I believe I could do this. And like you said, one school gave me a chance, but then I realized I was like, well, I feel like I could have did more. Like I said, that was a great school and a great staff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a chance on myself, and man, it got down to, and people don't realize, man, it got down to like April and May, I didn't have a job.
Yes, sir, it was, Coach.
As a teacher, like career fairs will start this month in February.
Yeah.
So I'm in April and May trying to find a coaching job. And what's funny, like, just show you this job lesson, things start to kind of open up. Like, if I could show you all the coaches I text and email on my phone, you'd be crazy. But I was like, man, I would do whatever I have to do. Mm-hmm. So what started as, like, I check the association website, I check school district websites every day. Talking about around the clock. I'm checking, like, the kids check their social media. Trying to see what jobs open now. So Germantown popped up. I didn't know who the coach was at the time, but I emailed, they just hired a new athletic director named Coach Greg Perry. Mm-hmm. I said, man, such and such, I said, hey, I'm Justin Sanders from Pisgah. I'm interested in the job. And also, I believe with my brother, Brandon Sanders, working there, that kind of helped. So I emailed him, and then I also texted Coach Love on April 11th of last year. He said, hey, Coach Love, it's just Sanders from Pisgah. He really didn't know me because I met him indirectly last year because we was in the same district as Velma Jackson. Mm-hmm. And he just said, yeah, they're going to post a job. He told me just apply for it. And I think he made it called around to different coaching district, asked how it was. And I think that like 2 weeks later, Coach Greg Perry, he said, can you come in for an interview?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got started.
Man, that's amazing, man. I was excited for you when you got the job. It was good to hear. Again, shout out to Coach Love for giving you an opportunity. Had opportunity to coach against Coach Love and things of that nature. And I know Coach Love won't admit it, but you know when we was at Pisgah that last year, we met him in the first round of district tournament. We were neck and neck with them to the third quarter, and the fourth quarter kind of got away from us. And I really felt Velma should have won that state championship that year. Some unfortunate things that happened that had nothing to do with Coach Love in that final game. But that's kind of how the game goes. And again, this podcast is not here to bash anyone. Officials have a tough job. But I just felt like that it was a couple plays that if they would have went a different way, Velma probably would have been crowned state championship. So that's more of kudos to Coach Love and what he's done and what he's doing now at Germantown. And it's not a knock on anybody else because the team that won it, was it Pine Grove, Coach?
Pine Grove.
Yeah, they deserved it, man. They played well. They beat a team that beat you and I a couple years ago in Coahoma County. With Coach Moore at Coahoma County, they do an amazing job in there. So, I mean, there's no knock to that at all. Both teams were deserving. And that's how the ball bounces, man. And that's just life about it. So, Coach Greg Perry, good guy as well. So, I was excited about it. So, Coach, let's talk about a little bit into your season, Coach. So, of course, your main background has been junior high basketball. What people don't know, when you were on staff with me, you were a benefit to me. So technically, we were co-coaches. So you had a lot of experience on the high school level. So that's why I felt when you got the Germantown job, I knew that you would do good. So, Coach, talk to us about the transition from going to a small school, a 2A school, and transitioning to a large school at Germantown, which is 6A, which will be 7A next year. Because we're moving up a classification here in the state of Mississippi. So talk to us about the transition from coaching at a small school and now into coaching at a larger school. Talk to us about that, Coach.
Sure. It's definitely an adjustment. Just seeing just a lot of people like going from a 2A to a 6A school is just an adjustment period. Kind of a culture shock if you're not used to it.
Yeah, it is.
I would say adjustment wise, and it's funny, I think God takes you through different journeys because at Pisgah, you have to do everything.
Yep.
And when you're the head ninth grade coach, ninth grade coach, you don't have an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So people used to be like, "Dog, coach, you doing all this by yourself?" And saying to say it's almost normal now.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was a good thing. The adjustments I'm making was just it was good to have multiple people because at small school you have to share athletes evenly.
Yes, you do.
Some schools like in 2A, like there was in our district, they have no basketball players in their gym till they won the state champion.
Mm-hmm.
So having people in the gym was something good. Also having people to pick from.
Yeah.
So you may go from 2A where you may have only 30 to 40 guys strapped to 100.
Yeah, that's a difference.
So that makes it different and create a competitive advantage because now you have to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Then also just coaching ninth grade of the little six is a great league. Very competitive. Every game matters. Mm-hmm. Every game matters, no matter if it's your division game or non-division game. So it put a lot of pressure on you. It's like picture a college coach just playing only conference games.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you're a college coach in the SEC or in the Power 5 or in a major conference, and you play only conference games, look how much pressure it is to win. You don't have any room for error.
Yeah, that is. I think that's a great analogy. I never thought about it like that, Coach. That is true, though. That's a great analogy on that.
So, and that was good. And also just getting back in the 7A, just seeing things. But also I learned, man, like I told people, 2 and 6A is the same thing. You have to teach basketball. You have to implement your system. You have to scout. You have to watch videos. So basketball is basketball at any level.
At any level.
It's just your level, that's all. But it's the same thing. So it wasn't that big of a judgment for coaching is coaching. The hardest part is just trying to build a culture and implement your new system.
Okay, so with that being said, well, talk to us about some of the ups and downs that you had in the year because coaches and we tell our players like this all the time. And there's multiple seasons within a season, and so you're gonna go from highs, you're gonna go from lows, you're gonna sometimes just kind of stay in the middle of the road. So talk to us, coach, about some of your ups and some of your downs in the season that you had this past year, because you did a great job. You did a great job. I had an opportunity to be able to see you all play. You had some very talented kids, athletic kids, and they did buy into the system. But of course, those are things that we see from the outside looking in. So kind of tell us some of those things. There were some ups, and then tell us some downs.
Okay, definitely. Definitely. I would say definitely some ups was like the previous year they only won like 2 games. I think one by forfeit, so I doubled that win to well more than double a few games, won 11 games.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. So just showing the kids like, all right, this is what we're gonna establish is this win. Take them to the playoffs. We won. We beat won our first round game in Norwich, ranked in advance to the semifinals, and eventually we fell to the champion Terry, who only lost 1 game, which they was a great team all year. And also, I would say some downs was varsity had players go through sickness and illness, so some of my ninth grades had to play up. So I had to get my team back adjusted on how to play without 2 starters.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 starters, they was key starters. They did a lot of the ball handling, a lot of scoring. But the other guys, one thing about it, when they had they didn't fold. They could have easily quit on me. So it showed me a lot about their character. A lot of those guys stepped up. And it ended up being a great season. So, and then also, like, I would just say some of the downs was like, and it's probably for me personally, is like, I start the morning teaching, then I go into coaching, then I have another class at the end of the day, go back to teaching mode.
Hold on, repeat that again, coach. Repeat that kind of schedule you got again. Repeat that for us.
So I have duty in the morning.
Okay.
I teach my first 2 blocks at the middle school next door. And I teach 6th grade. 6th grade they still kind of transition from elementary. So I'm working with the youngest kids at Germantown Middle School to going across the street to work with the youngest kids at the high school. So you working with 2 different maturity levels. So then when I go over there, I teach my 2 block, I go practice. So I got to get in coach mode. Get in coach mode, coach hard. Then I had to come back over and come teach my last class. And that's something I had to learn how to adjust to. Because teaching and coaching is the same thing, but it's a difference.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to kind of get the hang of it, and I think I did pretty well. Then also people gotta realize I also have varsity practice at school. So sometimes I have a whole 9th grade practice, then I had to jump into varsity practice next block. But I wouldn't say no down, it was just part of the job, that's what I signed up for. So I don't really like to say down, but like I said, that's just what I signed up for.
Yeah, coach, that's challenging to be able to have to coach at one school and go to another school and then come back. And, that is challenging. I know a couple years ago, which most people don't realize, whenever I had an interview, you went with me. If we went to New Albany, where else did we go, coach? We went to Charleston, Independence. Wherever I went, you went, and you always been a big support. But I can remember at one job when we applied it might have been the New Albany job. They were saying if I got the opportunity to get the job, I was gonna have to be able to coach. I think teach at the middle school and then go to the high school. So that's challenging. I know one of our good buddies, Brandon Kincaid. I want to say, does he still do that at Yazoo?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he's a baseball coach and he works is the elementary coach.
He's at the middle school.
Yeah, the middle school, and had to go to the high school. So, I mean, big ups to coaches who doing it on all different levels. And that's kind of the main, really, reason for this content that we're creating, because individuals, and again, that's a part of the job. So we're not here to whine and complain when people say this about us, boom, boom, boom. But what we're saying is it's more than what you see. It's more than what you see with a coach. Coach has so many different hats they have to wear throughout the day before they even get to coach the game. And so we're just saying that as you look in it and as we continue to dig through this sand and we continue just to pull out these stories, even just from coach here, it's so many things that are required. So a lot of the times when you all are saying, well, coach don't care, or he ain't doing this, or he's not doing this, or she's not doing this, you got to look into what a coach is really doing. And most people don't realize this. I know our coaches understand this, but a lot of times as coaches, we spend more time with other people's kids, other people's families than we do our own families. I have a 1 year old Harper. A lot of times I may drop her off at daycare at 7 in the morning. And because, the new district, I'm a coach at Richland High School, and we may go play Quitman. Quitman is about roughly 2 hours away on a bus from Richland. So when we finish our game and we get back, about time I arrive back home, I may get home, I may walk through the door 11:30, 11:45, and my daughter's asleep now. So when you break it down the grand scheme of things, she saw me at 7 a.m. in the morning, and she may not literally see me physically again until the next morning when she wakes up. So typically, my daughter can go almost 24 hours without physically seeing me. So that's the main reason we're here, is to celebrate coaches, give kudos to them. And again, I said this earlier, it's not just our profession. There's a lot of other professions that deal through the same struggles that we have, but that's why I'm excited to get a lot of coaches on here. And I'm excited for more stories to come with that. But again, Justin does a great job with it. We talk about it a lot, and he's probably one of the hardest working first year teachers that I know, because every time I call him, he at the school making copies. So if you see a dude up there at Germantown, he probably making copies. So, but he's doing his thing. Coach, let's talk a little bit more about basketball. Now, of course, we kind of told some stories, but I know some people want to be able to test your IQ out, because they hear me bragging about how great you are, but they want to be able to see for themselves, Coach. So I'm gonna throw a couple things at you and just talk to us about it. So, Coach, in your experience, what type of offensive action is best for you to get you a good shot or create a great scoring opportunity? What's some good offensive action that you like to run?
Well, as I'm learning, especially with this new generation, I like to set like a lot of pin down screens or backdoor cuts, because what I've learned now is kids, and I hope they start getting better, is this: kids don't watch basketball as much.
Okay.
So I'm always learning that on every team I try to find, it's always somebody that I always say maybe slacking or something, or not active on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned you can get a lot of just ball movement and screens, because a lot of times you play a team, it's not five guys actively talking.
That's true.
So to me, if you're not talking on defense, that means either you're selfish, or a lot of times you may not just know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. But Coach, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so that's why I say I like stuff that have a lot of movement, action, pin down screens, back screens. Okay. So that's something I would do, like I said, with kids now. And then I just keep it simple.
All right. I mean, that makes sense. So I'm listening at you saying action screens, ball screens, pin down screens. So I was thinking about that. Coach, why is it so hard to teach man to man? Because I'm guessing, and of course we talk all the time, you see something when you creating your offense and you sit down, you see something that people obviously are struggling in man-to-man defense. I talk to a lot of different coaches. I'm constantly trying to teach my kids man-to-man principles. I talked to our girls coach, Coach Strong, about teaching man-to-man principles. Coach, why is it so difficult to teach man-to-man? Like, why do kids struggle with it, in your opinion?
Man, if I had the answer now, I'd probably be in the NBA.
I know, right?
Well, I think now it's just, like I said, kids now, like, even now, growing up, you seen kids playing their driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the streets. Like, what happens, I think kids don't grow up playing one-on-one no more.
Yeah.
So that's the first basketball you playing. So it's just you. Then when you get old, you start playing 2-on-2, 21, different games. So I think kids kind of miss that step now because of just how the world going with computers, phones, social media.
Mm-hmm.
And also they don't watch basketball enough. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just something you just have to drill every day, which I know every coach do. I know every coach drill defense. I only have to know you know that.
That's true, Coach.
But I think it's just a lot just not knowing. Like, I always watch. That's how I learn how to do everything in life. I just didn't go out and just do it. Like, if I'm doing something, I'm going to commit to doing something.
Yeah.
So I just think it just comes down to just kids just don't play as much. And then sometimes you see kids play basketball. They play I don't want to say useless basketball, but they play bad pickup basketball. Like guys don't close out. They just play, and then kids don't want to get embarrassed on social media. Somebody recording them, so I think that have a role too, though.
So, so with that being said, it will come a point, and I know it has come a point for you that in the game, we know the X's and we know the O's, we know all of those go out out the door at certain times where you just got to create an opportunity for maybe your best player or the person who has the best advantage to take a advantage of the situation that they're in. So with that being said, Coach, how much freedom do you give your players to go and make something happen, or do you draw a setup to put them in that position to go get a bucket?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the situation. Like some kids, they can do that. Sometimes you have to know your team and have to call a timeout. Like one thing about me is this: if I can't trust you, you won't play for me at all. So like, let's say we run a sprint, you're not making a sprint. That means I can't trust you. Cause like when I need you to sprint to get this, loose ball or sprint down to take a charge, you're not gonna be able to get there because you don't do it in practice. So if I'm trusting you with my livelihood, I have to trust you in practice. So that's just me in general. But like, if I can't trust you, because they have to figure this. Like, players don't get fired in high school, coaches do.
They do.
So to me, yeah, if you build my trust up and I've seen this before, I'm gonna let you go. But also, I do situation in practice. Like, I might put up a score on the board, we down by 2. So I'm constantly putting them in situations. So then when they come to them, like, we do this every day in practice. This gonna be easy. This gonna be a walk in the park. So like I said, it just depends how the game going, depend on how I manage timeouts. But like I said, and it just depends on the situation. Like the game tied, I just let them have it. But maybe we down by 2 or something, maybe I need to draw up something.
Situation is always a good thing to work on. And I know you and I, we've been in a lot of different situations. And you and I, we would spend time after practice, before practice, maybe during practice, talking about making sure you and I were on the same page. So if we see this situation, we're going to do this. Or we see this situation, we're going to do this. And we got to be, you and I and your coaching staff, of course, you are on my coaching staff, but I'm talking to our other coaches. Y'all have to be on the same page because when it happens, everybody got to be on one accord. And I can even think about a time, it was in the district, maybe constellation game, when you and I, we were in conflict. Do we foul or we don't foul? So in a situation, or do we call a timeout or we don't call a timeout? And it happened that we were kind of indecisive with a situation, and the kid that we thought maybe wasn't going to be as successful with it, great kid, we end up calling a timeout, he makes a shot. And we like, oh man, he made it. So it's tough in those situations, and just the mentality that you have to do to endure the game of basketball makes a difference. And so, Coach, in this climate that we live in, when kids are dealing with so many things on the mental side of it, how do you prepare your kids? I know you talked about situational drills, but what else do you do to prepare your kids mentally for the game of basketball? Because again, to all of our true ball players, our true coaches out there, we know that basketball is just not physical, it's also mental as well. So Coach, how do you prepare your kids mentally outside of your situational drills for the game of basketball or that particular night?
Yeah, and that's tough. Like you said, one thing you try to tell kids is like you have to play the game, man, the night before. Like that's almost the only thing that's important that day. So you have to just do different things. I think it started definitely in the preseason.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, remember all those the track we ran, the hills we ran, the weights we ran. And some coaches they be like, man, let me get y'all phones. I need y'all not distracted. Like one thing with coaching guys, I'm like, man, tell the girls you like or whatever you talk to, hey man, leave me alone today.
It's hard to do that though, Coach.
Hard to do that first. I'm like, man, hey, let them have it. I even had to tell somebody, my player girlfriend, hey, do me a favor. For today, let them just focus on the game. So I think it's just those simple things. Because like I said, life is so much mental. It's mental. As a coach, you have to be mentally prepared.
You do.
So, but I think you start in the preseason, continue to preach it during the off season. This is what we expect. Like one thing I like at Germantown is having a multi-purpose gym.
That is important.
After practice, like we go over there and support our girls. Then at the halftime, I'm like, hey, let's get dressed. And guess what? I'm going back over there and practice a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times, I keep my players looking at me like, "Dog, you got running for a game?" I'm like, yeah. So time we tip off, we already broke a split. We ready.
You ready to go?
So having access to a gym, it also helped me a lot playing at home. And one time I played on the road, and they put us in a multi-purpose gym. I think that was a mistake. I think that was a very big mistake, but it helped our favor though. So those are simple things that just get to the game. Like, man, I don't want no silence, man. Focus, man. I don't care if you got to listen to music, go to sleep, just get locked in.
Yep.
So you just try to basically as a coach, just limit many distractions. That's what I would do.
I think that's key, man. You said a lot of different things that were beneficial, and I won't be able to name them all. But I think having that, it would be so nice if most gyms and most basketball teams had access to 2 gyms on campus. There's so much that you can do, as they call it, a multi-purpose gym. Those things make a difference. And I remember that game you went to, which was your first game, and you told me that, you know, we took advantage of that moment. We got a lot of shots up. We got a lot of free throws up. And what happens is, Coach, and most people don't know this about you, you have a wealth of knowledge and experience because you and I have been blessed, you know, thank God, to be able to go to some NBA games. And before we really started to know the regimen that they go through, NBA players get a true workout in. They go through all of those things. And so you taking what you saw on the NBA level and even making it trickle back down even to the high school 9th grade level, that makes a difference. And so those are some of the things that you continue to get to know Justin, things that he implements. So we all glean from each other. Coach, let's talk a little bit more about basketball. Just kind of some random questions that we kind of go out there. That we're going to throw out there. Talk about some of the coaches that you learned from, that you gleaned from. I know I just talked about it earlier, but who are some of those coaches that you gleaned from?
Okay, man, hope I don't miss nobody, but if I do, I apologize.
Hey, you gotta be careful, because you know you start naming people, man. You know people sensitive, man.
Man, they know my heart. So I'm gonna start with coaches I had or played for. I'm gonna start with Liam McGinnis giving me my start at Brinkley Middle School. I also want to thank my high school coaches, Coach Bob Frick. He passed away early last year. Getting the opportunity to play for Merle. Coach Arthur Brown was our assistant coach, won a national championship as a player at the Great Lanier High School, 833. I will also say I played for Coach AJ, city lead for the Jackson Rattlers. Definitely Brandon Sanders definitely taught me the game. Like, without him, man, I don't know what I would have been. So he definitely taught me the game. Definitely Chris Love, who I'm working with now, state champion coach. I'm learning a lot from the things he do, his work ethic. Like, one thing about it, you work with Chris Love or play, you're going to be at practice and working all day. I appreciate coach like Ivory Bowie. I've been knowing him since he was at SC, as he called it, for Scott Central. Yeah, I give him more credit. He really is a great coach, man. He always keeps us laughing with his humor. Travis Reed is on our staff. He really knows basketball. He won a state championship in high school. And also our middle school coach, he does well. He helped me a lot, Coach Price. So those are some of the people locally. And also this guy who I met this year, and I've been knowing him since I was a kid. He trained a lot of my players, Wayne Brink. We talked probably like maybe Monday or so. He said, man, if you guys want to come by and work out, like great coach. And I always somebody I looked up to his work ethic. Like one thing about him, he came to Callaway, I was kind of leaving Merle, which I was mad to. I said, they come. So Coach Brent was one of those guys who I just met finally this year, but I've been knowing him since the Provine Posse days, the good days.
Provine Posse.
Yeah, so now I'll probably say professionally, some of the people I look up to is Tom Izzo, Michigan State, Kelvin Sampson. At Houston, I love what Houston does. I love how they play defense and rebound. I love Doc Rivers, especially after timeout. After timeout, I think he's the best at drawing up plays. Phil Jackson, I definitely don't think he gets enough credit, and I'm not picking him because he won a lot. He had to manage a lot of egos.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's tough.
Like man, Coach Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Dennis Rodman.
That's a task, coach. That's a task in and of itself.
That's a task, and I don't think he get credit enough for it.
Yeah.
I put Bruce Pearl. I love what he does. I also love Don State. That's like one of my favorite coaches right now. And this coach, coached basketball, and he coached at one of my former schools that I graduated from. I love Deion Sanders. Like, I know a lot of people in Jackson they feel away, but I appreciate what he did for the city of Jackson State. I wish him success at Colorado. I hope he really accomplished what he wanted to accomplish.
That's true.
But I love Deion Sanders with his confidence and definitely his swag. He's been had this since '89, since he's been telling us. So those are some coaches I just looked up to.
Man, coach, those are a lot of good coaches that you named, and I like a lot of those coaches that you named as well. And I'm gonna tell you something about it, coach. And when I was thinking about my question I wanted to ask, and I was about to say this and say this, a lot of people say a lot of negative things about those coaches. And again, this platform is not for that. What we're trying to get you to see is every coach that Justin named, all of those coaches have some great qualities. But hey, before we even say, well, they did this, or they did this, or they did this, hey, those without seeing cast the first stone. So nobody in here is perfect. We're here to celebrate the greatness and the goodness, and we all can get better. We all can be better bankers. We all can be better teachers. We can all be better lawyers, pastors, plumbers, electricians, and we can be better coaches. But here we're here to celebrate those things, and a lot of those guys that you name, I'm looking at those guys from Travis Reed to Wayne Brent, Coach AJ, Coach Brown, Bruce Pearl. A lot of those guys got a lot of great things that I look into. Man, there's a lot of good coaches that I look at, and I try to pick up something from everybody. I want to share some of my coaches, but again, this is your opportunity to share. So I'm gonna go on to my next question.
And I want to share two other coaches I left out.
Go ahead.
When I was in high school, I had the chance to be around Anna Jackson.
Yeah, legendary.
And Murray. And then also I've got this coach too. I spent a lot of time around Spencer Gap.
Yes, yeah.
He's at Wingfield High School right now, but he taught me at Chess St. Louis.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to having Spencer on the show. Again, Spencer always knows about my golf game, man. I ain't gonna lie, he makes me question sometimes. I want to continue to keep golfing, but that's just his hard nature in it, man. But I love Spencer. Now, Coach, you talked about earlier in the season. Well, I'm sorry, not the season. Earlier in this episode, you talked about growing up in Jackson, seeing some great Jackson basketball, Jackson Public School basketball. I know they recently had an All-Star game for middle school, and something that surprised me about that interview, and hopefully I can get some of those coaches on as well. They said we're having this event to help kids stay in Jackson and play basketball here in Jackson. And to me, that hit me a little bit different because Jackson was always the mecca of where you wanted to play basketball. But as we know, we know some challenges that we have in our city, that other people are choosing other opportunities that are best for them and their families, which we don't fault them for. So it was just hard to say that Jackson is fighting hard to keep their own players. Which leads to my question. Coach, talk to me about some of the great high school teams that you saw growing up here in Mississippi, not just in Jackson, but in Mississippi. Talk to me about some of those great high school teams that, and I know everybody, all our listeners, some of our listeners weren't even born. Some of our listeners are maybe a little bit older than we are, but they're true basketball, historians. They probably have heard of them, or they're going to go and ask somebody, hey, hopefully they reach out to you. We'll drop your handle on there, and they can ask you about those teams. But talk to us about some of your favorite high school basketball teams in Mississippi as you were growing up, or even currently right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wish I could have seen these teams play more, but I was either one born, I was just super young. Those great Murray teams with Coach Jordan.
Yep.
Those some great teams, iconic teams. I wish I could have seen Odell and all those guys play. From Murray that I seen first was like what really made me really want to go to Murray was watching Mo Williams play.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to meet them when they first at Germantown High School earlier this year. And I had a chance to finally meet my idols like him, Trey Johnson, who was the assistant coach, Them guys I looked up to, and those guys I was like, that's why I want to play at Murray. People used to like, man, Peanut, man. I was like, I just love everything about Mo and Trey. It's kind of cool to meet your idols now, and y'all both in the same profession. So I definitely those early Murray 2000 team with Mo, Trey Johnson. I love that Murray 2005 team. And what I like about that 05 team is they don't get enough credit for being one of the great Murray teams that come through. They don't get mentioned enough, in my opinion, because top to bottom it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I think they can compete with any of those Murray teams that ever won. I would definitely say some teams I grew up watching. Definitely Wayne Britton, Provine. Like we had 3 players that while I went to Ole Miss. Those were great days. David Sanders, Justin Reed, and those guys.
Yeah. Was it Ron Harper? Not Ron Harper. Aaron Harper. Aaron Harper was the other guy.
Mm-hmm. And then also like Otis Gaines and them was on that team. Different people.
Yep.
I think you can't mention Jackson basketball without mentioning Tommy Phillips and Lanier.
That's true.
I never really grew up a Lanier fan just because I always loved Murray and I was a little Jackson kid, but man, those teams were great from the 90s to. I think the first time I really remember Lanier playing was when Darius Rice was playing.
Yeah. So
like watching him and definitely, man, I'm gonna tell you what I really loved Lanier, but I couldn't celebrate him because I was a Murray guy. Monte Ellis came to my middle school and played the 99 James. He had the Jordan zone, and he dunked. I was like, man, this man. It was like watching the best player I ever seen. Me personally, that close live.
Yeah, he was an amazing talent.
Yeah, Monte, and I'm glad he had a successful NBA career. Like, but Monte was one of those guys. Provine, going back to Provine, Luther Riley had some great teams, and he did a great job. Also, I'm trying to think. Starville Meridian always had great teams as well.
Yeah, man, there are a number of teams, man.
Ray Carter and Randy Bolden and Ernie Watson. And on the coast, Biloxi always been a solid program.
Yeah.
I know I haven't. The only time I watched when they came up here, but they've been consistent. At least maybe for 20 years that I know of.
Yeah, they run a good program, and that's what I was saying. It's so many great programs, and again, don't be mad at us if we didn't name your school. I mean, there are many programs there because you got to understand this. And Coach said it earlier in the interview. A lot of times we only focus on our class, and when I mean our class, you focus on 6A or 5A, but they're great programs from 1A through 6A, 7A next year. So. Those just coach opinions on who he thought, and a lot of those teams I agree with. It was amazing to see a lot of those teams growing up. But one thing when I listened to coaching, it made me think about it. When we saw guys like Monte Ellis, and we saw guys like Mo Williams, and we saw guys like Trey Johnson, like those guys are around our age. So we know there were some guys before them at Merle that went and played, other Callaway, Lanier, and Wingfield. But when those guys went to college and they had an opportunity to play in the NBA, it gave us a little hope. It gave us a little pride because, like you said, Mo Williams played in the same gym we did at Chastain, played in the same gym we did in high school, walked the same hallways. I mean, grew up in the same communities, neighborhoods. So that was just an inspiration to us all. And everybody had individuals they looked up to, individuals from Forest Hill, Wingfield, Jim Hill, to the people a little bit whose coaches' age and a little older. And Bailey was a high school at the time. Now it's a middle school now, one of the best middle schools actually in the country right now. So there's a lot of good things about that. So, Coach, as we're about to get ready to wrap up, got a few more questions.
I want to make something real quick.
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
Also want to shout out the ladies.
Yeah, always the ladies. Yeah.
Definitely, and I know I'm super biased, but I don't care. But I think this is a fact. I just said Murray girls is probably some of the best girls, and I don't want to name the year because I don't want to get into that. Because there's been so many great, but definitely the Anna Jackson Murray girls were just some great basketball at the time. And even when I started coaching at 2A, I learned you had programs like Pine Grove and New Site. Just schools I didn't even know had like solid programs. I remember Raymond had a good program at the time with them 2 girls.
I just, again, it's so many, and I'm just naming them just because, again, these some of the individuals that we know personally, and hopefully I can get them on the show. But I think about Choctaw Central girls, I think about Coach Broom, what he did in the Shoba last year. I think he went undefeated. I think about Coach Fuller, some of the girls that he had through his matriculation through the coaching career from I guess Warren Central, I believe it was Warren Central to Gulfport High. I mean, there were a number of just a good basketball team.
Coach Deere and Simpson Academy.
Go Deere Simpson Academy. So there's a lot. There's a lot of girl basketball teams, and again, I'm thankful too to coach. Had opportunity to be able to coach girls and boys. Mr. Yates and Coach Granberry gave an opportunity to coach at Pisgah because it opened up my viewpoint to see the girls game in a whole new light. Coach, let's kind of talk about some current things that are going on, Coach. But before we do that, it's always kind of been a big discussion. But Coach, we're going to kind of transition to the NBA side a little bit. I know you're more of a college guy, high school guy, but I know you have a great love for the NBA. I guess we have to ask the question, Coach. I'm gonna say this, but I already know how you feel about it. I'm gonna ask you, who do you feel is the greatest of all time? Which is a complex answer, but I know you and I do it. But you and I, we kind of wish, and I kind of heard Kevin Durant say this as well. It doesn't matter who you like. Praise that guy, say why you like him, but don't allow yourself to trash another guy to prove your point. And I know you're not going to do that, Coach, but just talk to us about who do you feel is the greatest of all time?
Yeah, that's like that's definitely a complicated question now. Like, man, they'll start a fight at a barbershop right now.
Literally.
It's a tough question, and I like to answer Michael Jordan game. It's hard to say when you didn't get to play against the greatest.
Yeah.
Of the era. So, like for me, it's Michael Jordan, but that don't mean I'm not gonna be mad if somebody think Kareem is, or LeBron, or Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think all those are great. Like, I don't think there's no wrong answer.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like I think all those guys are great. Like, I'm not gonna get mad at LeBron, and I think the young people gotta stop criticizing the old players, and the old players gotta stop just criticizing the young people. Like, basketball is basketball. I believe if you're great in one area, you can be great in any area. Like,
that's true, yeah.
The same Michael Jordan can play in this area is crazy, and I think older people crazy when they say LeBron can play in the 70s and 80s. I'm like, I don't know what basketball y'all watch.
Yeah. Yeah, because in life you adjust, like everything. Like, for example, I mean, we all experienced this. When COVID hit, we all had to adjust. I mean, so you adjust in life. Of course, man, it's to be honest, Coach, and I hope I'm not by myself, it's kind of hard to remember a lot of things we used to do before COVID. Because now, since COVID has, COVID came, and obviously, it's still here, still have some high numbers in certain areas, but things are done differently. But guess what? We just had to adjust. So I agree with you. I grew up watching Michael Jordan. I'm a Michael Jordan guy. And I love LeBron James, and to be honest, it's kind of hard for me to be able to say it because I like LeBron James just as much as I like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was just one of my favorite and is my favorite. So again, that conversation is so complex, but to me, the conversation just gets tarnished because people start to say these different things, do this, say this about them. And so that question gets it. But I did want to ask that question to you because I felt like you had some wisdom to share with us. So, Coach, with that being said, now this is going to be a little bit of a tougher question in my opinion, I believe. Coach, you got a starting five, an all-time NBA starting five. Coach, talk to me about your lineup, Coach. I'm gonna write them down, and I'm gonna match them up over times when I interview people. So, Coach, and again, you don't have to go point guard, shooting guard. You can go just your starting five. You got an opportunity, all-time starting five, Coach. Talk to me who you got.
Okay, all-time starting five. Wow, that changed the game, but I'm gonna still go by position though.
Okay, that's cool.
Ooh, that's tough. And a lot of people, man, they're going to cause a lot of controversy at the point guard. When you think of the best point guard, you think of Magic.
Yep.
And sad to say, I'm not going to pick Magic, man. Please don't kill me, viewers. I'm going to actually go with Steph Curry.
Okay. You got Steph at the one.
Got Steph at the one. And that
Okay, yes, sir. I mean, we know it. We hey, it's about
Uh,
celebration.
number two is definitely Michael Jordan.
All right,
That was
so you got MJ at the 2.
I got LeBron James at three.
All right, got LeBron James, all-time scoring leader in the NBA.
Number four was kind of difficult for me, but I don't think this guy really get enough credit at all. And I think because he just wasn't, he was laid back. But I'm going with Tim Duncan.
All right, Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental.
And to be honest, the five was the hardest position for me to really pick.
Mm.
Because I think of all the great centers, like people don't get Will Chamberlain was dominant.
He was.
Like, it's nothing for him to go get 30 rebounds.
That's true.
and
That's
50
true.
points.
Yeah, easily, coach. Easily.
And Bill Russell was great too. And what I think what made Bill Russell even great, I know people try to post on the basketball side, was he was doing social justice and trying to live during that time and play basketball.
In Boston?
Yeah, I don't think he get enough credit for that.
That's true.
Elijah Wan was probably one of the most skilled big men I've seen. Footwork.
Great footwork. Great footwork.
I think Shaq was the most dominant.
Yeah.
And also Kareem was tough. So that was hard for me.
So who you pick, coach?
Oh, man. Oh, it's tough. This is tough. I know. I'm gonna go with Shaq, but it's close between him and Kareem.
All right, got Shaq.
Yeah, but it's right there though. But I think the five is so hard though. I think you go any one of those guys and plug them in.
It's not a bad lineup, man. When you go from Steph, MJ, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Shaq. Man, I don't think you can go wrong with that lineup, coach. All right, so coach, with that being said, and if you had an opportunity, you had all the money that you needed, and you could own any NBA franchise, which franchise would it be and why? I mean, you could choose any franchise as an open market. Of course, I know that doesn't work like that in real life, as we always say. But if you had an opportunity to buy a franchise, own a franchise, what franchise would you purchase and why? NBA. We talk about NBA franchises.
Boy, so NBA franchise, what I would do is, and this is kind of random, I would buy the Los Angeles Clippers.
Clippers. All right, talk to me about the Clippers.
Well, one thing about it, Clippers don't get enough credit for being a good organization.
Okay.
If they wasn't in Los Angeles, they'd get credit. But really, they've been better than the Los Angeles Lakers record-wise over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I would take them and move them out of Los Angeles.
And move them where?
And move them to a market that's deserving that want a fan base, like either Seattle or Las Vegas. And I probably put them in Las Vegas because I see the success the Las Vegas Raiders are having.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Aces are having. And the Las Vegas Aces should repeat as a WNBA champs.
Yeah.
So I would move them to Las Vegas to rebrand themselves, get them out the Lakers. They always say, "Oh, they the team that's in the basement, a little brother." Create their own identity, move to Las Vegas with a new buzz and a new energy.
That's a good answer, coach. Man, you always bringing the facts, man. Coach, a couple things, just a little personal things as we wrap up, coach. Coach, what is something people don't know about you and they often get wrong on what type of person you are? So now we kind of getting into the saying, coach. Because again, we're going to pull out some things that people don't know as we begin to wrap up, coach. So what is something that people don't know about you that they often get wrong?
Something ain't being wrong. Definitely, I really think I'm a funny person. So when I'm at work, I try to be very professional, but I think the misconception of me is just my coaching style. It's like I'm not the typical coach. Like I don't believe I have to just yell down people's throats. Now I fuss, but I don't necessarily have to maybe necessarily use profanity or just different things. And it come off as like, "Oh, you too nice," or "You a nice guy." And as you know me, coach, I can take it there.
Trust me.
But I want to let people know I can't go there. But I just try to just talk to you as human beings. But I say I can get you to do what I want. I don't have to fuss and all that. Because either you're going to do it or you're not.
That's true.
So I don't believe, I think that's a misconception. I am a nice person. So I don't want that I ain't no tyrant like Michael Jordan said the last day. Well, I am a nice person though. But I just want to get people to, there's just a misconception that like I'm too nice to have success.
Mm.
And I seen Deion Sanders do the same thing.
Mm.
With like he don't have to use foul language to get what he wants.
Well, this kind of taking a turn, man. Were you mad or upset that Deion left? Well, Coach Prime, to be correct, Coach Prime.
Honest truth, I was both.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I'm just be honest, it was a great ride for us. Like we had our program been down at Jack State for a while, so just keep winning was my reason, and that was selfish of me. Because I also did. Life is about like what he said. In this game, you gonna get elevated, terminated. And we all looking to get elevated. Like I want to get elevated. Like probably I could coach in college or the NBA one day. So I was mad just because I was like, man, we doing so good. I love it. You know, the exposure and everything. But I also understand you have to leave for better opportunities. And this is life changing for his staff as well.
Yeah, it is. It's very life changing.
Because but they'll leave their job made for just $2,000. So,
I know.
so I understand why he did it. And, like I wish him success, but like it wasn't no hate. It was just mad because I'm like, I wish you would stay here forever.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him, man. I'm also more happy for TC Taylor. Like this is what he's been wanting and praying for. And he had his dream job.
Yeah.
And he would do great things at Jack State. So I'm a TC Taylor guy. I'm a Sport Deion Sanders guy.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping that TC Taylor does well. Hopefully, I can get Coach Taylor on this as well and share his content and story. And I'm like you, Coach. I was hurt, disappointed, but at the end of the day, you know, he made the best decision for him. And like you said, every day we all wake up and make what's the best decision for us and our families. And Coach, I'm a Coach Sanders. I'm a Coach Prime supporter. Man, every day on YouTube, I'm seeing what they got going on in Colorado. And, Coach, I know you know it, but our fans don't know it. But, Coach, man, I signed up to get season tickets to Colorado. So if I can just go to one game. But they denied me. But hopefully, when they can see the revenue I'm going to generate from my fan support, maybe they'll bring me on and I'll be able to interview Coach Prime. But I'm excited about what he's doing. And what you're saying, he's one of the coaches that I kind of pick up from. I catch myself a lot of times when I'm talking to my kids. I'm catching myself saying some of the inspirational things that he often says. But it was good to see Coach Prime do well and be successful. And I'm praying all the success for him because I think it's going to be super exciting to see what they can do. And it's for the culture. And not just the black culture, it's just for just a culture, just a human race of us all. And I think sometimes we forget about that. We all coming from the same place. And so I'm excited for that. Well, Coach, man, I'm excited about this, Coach. I'm praying that we get a lot of views, Coach. I just want to remind people before we wrap up, please like, please subscribe, please follow the page, please share the content. Please support Coach Justin Sanders. Make sure you go visit my Instagram page. I know I'm going to post it in this video. Coach is going to post it when he shares it. Please help him reach his goal of $100 to raise money for St. Jude. And please keep coming out. Please keep sharing content. Please message me, leave comments on my coaches we want to be able to honor and support. And as you can just see it by listening to Coach Justin Sanders, you can listen to his wealth of knowledge. You can listen to his heart for children. You can listen for his IQ of the game, and you can look at his swag, look at his demeanor, look at his humbleness, look at his walk with Christ. That he's going to be a major game changer for the game of basketball. I'm excited to see where he is. I know he loves Germantown High School. I love it for him. I'm excited to see him run his own program, but in due time. I know, again, I'm bragging on you, and I'm going to brag on all individuals that I know. Be wrapping up with his master's degree from Delta State. So I'm excited for him with that. He's doing a great job of teaching those young minds. 6th grade history teacher where he is. So we're excited about it in that matter. Coach, one last thing, and then we're going to let you go. Okay. And, Coach, I'm going to give you like 60 seconds, and you can take longer as you need. The floor is yours. Kind of discuss anything you want to, or maybe shout out anybody, or just kind of give people your closing statements. You may want to share something. Maybe you got a camp going on. Maybe you got something that you're going on. So, Coach, maybe you got a life lesson or a moment that you want to share with somebody. Coach, man, the floor is yours, man.
Okay, definitely. Well, I'm gonna start with the basketball side. And this is something I want my coaches and we can have a discussion one day. Is and I've been on both sides of this as a coach. I've been down by 3 in a game, and I've been up by 3.
Yep.
And I know people agree and disagree with this philosophy. I believe in foul.
Yeah.
Because I've been times I didn't foul, they hit the 3. It's times I've been up and they let me hit the 3. So for coaches, I want to have this discussion maybe at the next coaches thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe you should foul or not?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the basketball side. Oh, go ahead, coach.
No, Coach, the floor is yours. Floor is yours.
Oh, yeah, that's on the basketball side. I would say just the personal side. I appreciate being on here, being able to talk basketball, being able to talk God, and also, man, my goal is just try to help the young men and children. Like one thing I talk about kids every day, even on my off days. So that, like I said, and this man, we just gotta need to love each other more in this world. There's enough hate, enough criticism, and they just start loving each other more. Next, for all my small coaches, I don't think enough small coaches get enough credit. Like, I want small coaches to be considered more for big jobs, like 5A, 6A, 4A, 7A jobs, because people don't realize you work the list. And a lot of times, people don't show you the love and respect that you get from being a small coach. Because if you can run a small school program, it gets so much easier at the big level. Because, man, you get to a 6, 7A job, you have 2 or 3 assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to shout out my small coaches, man. 1, 2, 3A, all small school coaches, man. Hopefully, you get your aspiration to go and be big time and get the opportunity. Like that's one thing I love. Like hopefully people, and not just in high school, even in college, you a small coach. Hopefully, you work your way up to Division 1, Power 5 level. So I think definitely, like I say, shout out all my small coaches. Shout out Coach Sanders for this great podcast. I definitely appreciate being on here, man, and just show love. And as the next coaches clinic, this is what I want for my coaches. I remember when I was a 2A coach in Pisgah. It's funny, I've been going to this coaches clinic for years, and nobody never really talked to me but the people I just associated with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like time I got associated with Coach Love in Germantown, it's the most people have ever talked to me. And I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to know, like, I'm still that same guy that was at Pisgah, that was at Brinkley, still that kid from Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you say, man, the coaching clinic, man, and the next coaching clinic, I want to talk to coaches from 1 through 7.
Coach, man, thank you for that, man. You dropping dimes. Again, the coaching clinic is always a good opportunity to kind of mingle and talk with other coaches. And Coach, man, I think when people see your face on this, and it's February now, Coach's Clinic is in July, I think a lot of people just going to speak to you and just really appreciate you for what you did on this podcast and for being vulnerable and opening up and sharing. So I'm grateful for it, man. I thank you again. I couldn't do this without you. I'm grateful for you, brother. Thank you for doing this, because it's not easy getting in front of the camera and talking, even though we do it. Like you said, people don't realize that it took us a minute to even get this set up, and we had a good time just setting this up. So, Coach, I know I keep saying one last thing, but this just hit me, Coach. Who's your pick? Who's coming out the East? Who's coming out the West for the NBA Finals?
Okay, I think, man, said Coach Sanders, he's like a pastor, can't close out.
Yeah, you know how it is. You got to give them all that good stuff.
Wow, it's funny now because the NBA trade deadline just came up and a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a tough one. After East, I'm going with. Man, this is tough. I'm gonna go with Milwaukee.
Giannis.
After West, it's tough because, man, Kevin Durant just came to Phoenix.
Yep.
Boy. After West, and I'm going with them. I'm going with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Ooh, that's a surprise. Clippers out the West. Wow.
It definitely surprised me. I'm going with the Clippers.
Well, people don't know this, but we New Orleans Pelicans fans, and of course we're not undercutting our team at all. Of course, we always root for our team to be there, and I
Exactly.
believe I believe one day we can continue to do some good things. We're gonna be there. So shout out to our Pelicans. Again, man, we thank you, Coach, for coming out. Again, please like, please share, please subscribe, please support the fundraiser, and continue to reach out to me. Again, I'm gonna be available to be able to seek different things that we have. I'm definitely big on showing love to all people. From out each episode, I'll be doing different things, promoting different businesses, different companies. And so hopefully once you see the groundwork that we are establishing, then I hope that you will link on in what we're doing and be supportive of what we got going on. So until next time, this is In the Sand, hosted by Coach Brandon Sanders. And we're excited to have you, and we'll see you on next time. You all have a good night, good evening, good day, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.